That's from the scary movies, isn't it? I get to
I think so.
And welcome back. Welcome back to TisItIsBiz.
That's right.
I am one of your boys, Snoof. That is my boy, your boy, everybody's boy, Treads in the Hat. How are we doing tonight, Treads in the Hat?
We are fantastic. Happy to be here. Happy to be in the hat, and happy to be with you.
Aw, happy to be in that. Dude, how many hats do you own, roughly? Because at this point, I feel like every time we talk, you've got a different hat. You got to have easily double-digit hats, obviously.
It probably breaks in double digits. I don't wear them all frequently, but...
Okay. So, in other words, we're going to start seeing some repeat offenders here pretty soon.
I think we've already worn this one before, so...
Dude, it's episode 4, and you're already re-wearing?
I know. I'm letting you down.
I am fully decked out in Panthers gear, because by the time this episode airs, I will either be really happy or really sad. Because...
You'll be happy regardless. Hockey season full force.
Dude, it can't be worse than how the football season is treating both of us right now. There's no way both of our hockey teams do worse than both of our football teams. There's no way. So
they'll both be a lot better, I think.
Yeah.
It's not wanting to be close.
Please,
you got the defending champions.
Save me,
defending champions.
Save me, Florida Panthers. Save me. I love that video so much. It's so stupid. I guess that guy was being so genuine, good. But save me, please. Like, what are we doing? But
that's literally how it feels when it's just like one of your teams is just complete, like immediately out of the gate garbage. It's like something else. Please come along that makes it worth watching.
Dude, sincerely, the best thing I ever did in sports was expanding my fandom, because for years I just watched the Dolphins and I just watched West Virginia football. And buddy, when's the last time either one of those were good?
Oh, man, I know. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm really excited to actually watch a full hockey season this year. I just kind of got into it, obviously, the tail end of last year, so I'm excited to have a full season to watch, and yeah, super pumped for it.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I'm really excited. Do you know what exact day or who y'all's opening day opponent is?
I'm pretty sure we have Tampa Bay, and it's like we play them literally 2 days in a row. I think one at home and one in Tampa. I don't remember the exact day it starts, honestly, but.
Yeah. I do think that's kind of crazy. It seems like hockey does that a lot. Like, why not just double it up, at that play? Unless that's, the only 2 times you're playing that year. In which case, still, I'm like, you can't make the schedule a little more lenient than that. I know that they play so many games a year. I get that. But, I can't imagine flying to Boston. Then that night, you're flying back home to play them again. That's just, a quick turnaround. That seems that would be really rough, I think.
Very strange. For the next day game, yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. But... all that to say, I sincerely, I tweeted it last year, and I did say that in the middle of playoff hockey, which I think anybody who watches hockey will admit that playoff hockey is a whole tier above regular season hockey.
Right.
I think football, obviously by the time you get towards the end of the NFL season, there could definitely be a 2-14 team that's not going they're not going anywhere anyway. So that game might suck. They're really not playing their hearts out, whatever. Yeah. But then, and obviously the Super Bowl was a big level up. I don't watch enough baseball to tell you if playoff baseball is a thing. Playoff basketball is really nice. I do like playoff basketball.
Agreed.
But playoff hockey is unbeatable in my opinion.
It somehow just kept getting more and more intense the further you got into it, and you would think can't get better than this, and the next round is better. It's oh my god.
Really. It really
phenomenal.
Did. I mean the Western Conference going to 7 games last year, that was awesome. Obviously Stanley Cup final going to 7 games was freaking terrifying for me, but I guess if you're watching it from an outside perspective, it was fun. But it was not fun for me.
Also, to think about if you think about it retrospectively, I think it's fun even as a Florida Panthers fan to look at it that's a kind of more legendary. You win it in the game 7, after drop. I don't know, it's kind of cool. Sure, you would have won to win it, outright. But still, it's kind of fun to look back on and be wow, it took us to game 7. It's kind of fun.
It was crazy going into that. I was honestly at this point, whoever loses is choking. We would have choked a 3-game, and we handed them. We beat them handily those first 3 games, and they beat us handily a couple of those next 3. I was whoever loses tonight is choking, because we both are right there. But man, it was fantastic. Hopefully,
it's great.
Our boy Char. Hopefully he gets to see a banger season for his first season as well.
Yeah, I'm pumped for all of us to kind of be getting into it, and I think it'll be maybe we'll start a fantasy hockey league. I don't know how that works, but
Yeah, I don't know how that works either. You have to look into that. Well, I honestly I don't have like a icebreaker. I don't have a curveball. I don't got nothing for you tonight. Unless you got some random story you want to tell me, we can get into one of our favorite comedy actors ever.
That's right. Yeah, I don't have anything for you either, so I think we can just kind of jump right in, honestly.
Who are we talking about?
So, first of all, I guess to explain kind of what our thought process was, we have talked a lot about wanting to kind of do somewhat of a series of highlighting a lot of our favorite or just iconic comedy actors, and kind of do like personal Mount Rushmores of their films for each of us. We'll probably talk a lot about comedy movies on here in the future, whether it is through different actors, just our personal favorite comedy movies. Because we have a lot of overlap, but we also have a few personal ones each that would kind of be fun to talk about and kind of push back on each other a little bit. So that's definitely something that'll probably be a theme over the course of many episodes. But to kick off our conversations on individual actors and their career work, there's one actor in particular that both of us have pretty much ranked as like our favorite actor of all time, or if not number one, very close to it. And we didn't want to start with him. We kind of want to work our way up to him eventually and do a whole tribute show or something to him. So we kind of immediately crossed him off the list, and we're kind of looking at who else was left. And somehow we landed on Scott's favorite comedy actor tonight, Will Ferrell.
Everyone's favorite.
It is interesting that I think if you polled, especially people our age, like, who's your favorite comedy actor, like on the street, I would assume Will Ferrell would be like up there for people.
He would be
generally
his top 5, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely top 5, and I'd say he's a lot. He might literally be a lot of people number 1.
He might be,
especially people our age. But I really don't have like. It's my relationship with Will Ferrell is just kind of, I don't know. It's just never been like full on like that level of love for him. I don't like necessarily dislike the guy either. No ill will toward Will Ferrell. His movies are extremely hit or miss for me. So I think in a way, while he might not be like either one of our pure favorite ones, it's kind of a fun discussion because there's a huge chunk of these movies that are not going to sniff my Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. First off, you just said it perfectly. I've said it for years. I'm so polar on Will Ferrell's movies. Mm-hmm. Even then, there's only maybe one or two that I was like, I really like that movie. I really like it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I find myself going back to what I said before about the Will Ferrell formula. Most of his movies, the first 30 minutes, the first full act, I'm in. I think they're funny. Mm-hmm. I think they're good. I think a lot of his movies, by the third act, it's not funny anymore.
Tired.
It's the same humor, so it's just tiring. And I'm checking out. I think that's like the Will Ferrell formula: is hook them and then just like, oh, we got them, so let's just write some BS.
I agree. And also, I mean, you legitimately could say this about almost any comedy actor to an extent, but with him, I really do feel like it's like the same character almost in all of them. Yeah. So it's even more tiring, which that might be like weird to say because the guy we were talking about earlier that we both love is Jim Carrey, and on one hand, I could almost see like he's kind of exhausting to watch with his like how physical he is and stuff. Sure. So that doesn't tire me out. So like maybe it's weird that I'm sitting here saying that something about Will Ferrell's shtick kind of gets old to me, but either way, that's kind of how it works. And like I said, there's a lot of like super popular Will Ferrell movies that are not only are going to be not on my Mount Rushmore. Like I might as we work through this create a whole separate like Mount Buttmore, if you will, just ones that are complete stinkers.
I love that. Let's do it. Let's please. We can work together and come up with 4 movies that are just absolute butt. We can do that.
Deal.
I love that. Mount Buttmore.
That would almost be easier with looking at these. And like you said, there were a couple that stood out. I was like, wow, these are locks. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, ugh. I texted you earlier and was like, are we saying this to be like top build for Will Ferrell, or like if he's in it, is that enough to slide it onto my list?
The Lego movie.
We might get some interesting picks on here. Yeah.
Yeah. I there are 2 of my picks that you're gonna shake your head at, but I'm sorry that they are picks for me. One of them's right behind me. I don't know if you even know what that is or not. But Volcano Man.
I can't see the type. Oh.
It's not a movie. No. That's just a segment of the movie. But Volcano Man.
Okay. I'm anxious to hear about it then.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll get into it, I guess, like as far as like, we'll delve into more detail about like why we aren't for some of his more popular projects and why obviously we like
Yeah,
the ones we're picking. But
absolutely.
we've said that we're going to do it. It technically will be our personal Mount Rushmores. We can overlap. There's no draft or whatever. We're just going to pick and
Right.
whatever. So honestly, if you want, I'll give you first pick. And if I assume if at any point you pick a film that's also on my list, then we'll just both talk about it there and
Okay.
go from there. If
Perfect.
that works for you.
Yeah. So I'll kick things off, and my first one's not a shocker at all. I think this is kind of one of his like canonical big ones. Step Brothers to me
Yep.
is probably my favorite Will Ferrell movie.
I agreed.
And when I was looking at mine, like to pick four, especially with someone like him who I don't like love 15 of his movies, I was really trying to pick like four different lanes a little bit for my picks, as you'll see as I go through. And I think the Step Brothers lane is maybe where he's the best. Working with someone, his relationship with John C. Reilly is really good here. Just as a spoiler, I guess Talladega Nights won't be on here. It's not quite a like Mount Buttmore pick for me, but it's just kind of there. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I think this one is considerably stronger personally with the two of them. I just really like it a lot. I think I talked a little bit last week about how buddy comedies are one of my favorite type kind of comedy routes movies take, and I think this is one of the stronger buddy comedies we've gotten in recent years. And also shout out to like some of the supporting cast. Adam Scott as Derek is really funny.
Fantastic.
You don't really see him play like the villain character too much, and he's wonderful.
Yeah.
And Richard Jenkins, who plays the father, I think is like subtly very good in this. And he's just one of those actors who's kind of like a journeyman quarterback, where it's like he's not like known for anything particular, but he's like stuck around for a long time.
Yeah.
I found him on Letterboxd. He's in like over 100 movies, and like I don't know him as like the lead in anything, but like you see him pop up all the time. He's always like kind of solid, and in this movie it gives him the opportunity to kind of be a little wild, and I always kind of liked that character. But I like it all around, and yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on Step Brothers.
It's my top Will Ferrell as well. I think I like buddy comedies as well. I like it. We've mentioned it with like Monsters Inc. of all things, but I like it when you can just tell the actors or voice actors or whatever it may be have really good chemistry. And I do think him and John C. Reilly do have great chemistry, and I think it's at its peak in Step Brothers. I think it literally, some scenes it literally looks like they just like put a camera in the room and they were just talking, like, and they were just so funny off of each other or whatever. I love the line whenever they're sitting there like whispering threats to each other in the bedroom, and Will goes, "I'm gonna take a pillowcase and fill it with bars of soap and beat them out of you."
Yeah, that's one.
Love
Yeah,
that line.
I agree. That might be my favorite line in the movie too. I love it. It's
Like,
so good.
There's multiple scenes like that. I'm like, I wonder how much of that was them just ad-libbing, just sitting there talking. They're like, we'll make it funny.
Everything at the Catalina wine mixer at the end is great.
Yeah.
Speaking of Derek, I love the scene when it introduces him and his family and they're singing Guns N' Roses in the car. It's
Sweet
so
child
good.
of mine, yeah.
It's so good. Yeah.
Bow, bow, I'm Derek.
Hey Derek, you know what's good for shoulder pain?
What?
You lick my butthole.
It's
so good.
Stupid, dude.
It's wildly stupid, but I don't know, it kind of works more so than a lot of his movies that are really stupid that don't work for me. This one just, comedy's so subjective like that, but this one just kind of works for me, and it works for a lot of people. I think a lot of people would have it up there as one of their favorites.
Yeah, there's just it's very quotable. I think anytime anything has to do with space, I promise you, like anytime we walk into like a hotel room or something, I'll be like, so many activities. Look at all this space, so many activities. Like that's just a random one I'll throw out. It's very quotable, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, so I think it's great. I don't think we're not getting hot yet to say that Step Brothers is our favorite Will Ferrell. I don't think. Now from here, it's gonna go downhill, baby. We're gonna start picking some picks, and people are like, "What?" And we're gonna start hating on some. I guess at the end, do you want to talk about some Mount Buttmore, or when do you want to talk about some Buttmore?
Yeah,
entries?
or if they come up as we go, sure. But
you said it's not your Buttmore. I would put Talladega Nights on my Mount Buttmore, dude.
Really? Okay.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's got the classic Will Ferrell moments. It is funny at times.
Yeah.
The chemistry's there again. Like there are things about it, but there's also times like the whole scene, and this is like half of people our age is like favorite comedy scene ever. the scene of them like at the dinner table and like the two, they're his grandsons like talking smack to their grandpa. I don't think it's funny at all. I honestly hate
Walker and Texas Ranger. Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly hate that scene. I'm 9 years old, but I'll beat your butt. That's not funny. I don't find it funny at all.
Yeah, it's just playing like the shock value of a kid saying it, which I've never. Yeah. So I used to like really be out on this movie, and then my wife admittedly likes it. Actually, when I mentioned that we were doing this, Mount Rushmores was like, "Oh, you got to have Talladega Nights on there," and I'm like, "Actually, I do not have to have it on there." But yeah. So it's kind of funny because like one of my, if not my favorite comedy of all time, is Dumb and Dumber, and she just like doesn't connect with her at all. But then like Talladega Nights is the opposite. She's like cracking up at it. I'm just kind of like, eh.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it wouldn't quite make my like 4 worst ones. I think there's like you said, there's pieces of it that are funny. It's almost, I don't know. I feel like it almost works better as like maybe an extended skit than it does a whole movie, because it's definitely one where the shtick gets a little old for me by the end. But not even close to Step Brothers in my opinion. But so maybe we'll have different Mount Buttmores as well.
We might, and that's another. I would like to ask a lot of people, even people who apparently like the movie. Tell me the final act of Talladega Nights. What happens? You probably don't know. I don't know. I don't remember because I'm so out of it. By the time it rolls around, I'm like, oh my god, like I don't want to get it off. Fair. So that's there's that. Well, we both talked about Step Bros. What's your second one?
So as you said, we haven't gotten hot yet, and I'm still not going to get hot. I'm actually going to get real cold, North Pole cold, because I'm going to go ahead and take Elf. I know you're a little lower on this one. I really do like Elf. It's not my favorite Christmas movie. It's I don't know. It's probably somewhere in the 5 to 10 range. I don't know exactly where. I haven't sat down and written those out. But it is one that I do enjoy. And I just love Christmas so much that even my 10th favorite Christmas movie is one that I, like and can enjoy. Okay. That's kind of how I feel about Elf. I think at its peak, it is very good. At its valley, it is still fine. It's inoffensive. It's I don't know. I like a lot of it. I like the Buddy the Elf. What's your favorite color? That's a fun one to throw out there. And it has a lot of quotes like that too. I fully agree with you that this is another one that third act is a little weaker. But I like the setup a lot. I like him like the fish out of water type thing in New York, and he's like from the North Pole. It's kind of funny. Yeah. I think it's an actress that kind of always annoys me is Zooey Deschanel, and this might be the least annoying. Actually, I find her that she's okay in this one. But yeah, so it's in the supporting cast again is great. James Caan, Bob Newhart, a couple really
Peter
good.
Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage, shows up. So it's kind of a fun cast. But yeah, it's not my favorite Christmas movie, like I said, but it's one I do watch pretty much annually. And when I'm looking at Will Ferrell's movies, it was kind of the second one that popped out like as something that I did like enough to throw on here. So
yeah. I over-exaggerated my response a little bit. Elf was on my list. I ended up booting it for something else that you're not going to like better, but I like better. So I was like, that'd be different. I'll throw it in there. I don't hate Elf like I maybe portrayed as I do. I do stand by what I said that there are easily 7+ Christmas movies I'd rather watch than Elf. I think it still follows the Will Ferrell formula, all that stuff. That said, it is, again, very quotable. Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad. So stupid. I love whenever he's calling his dad and he's like, I love you. I'll call you back in 5 minutes. Like this, his character is very like, it's like overly bubbly. Yeah. And like, I don't know. It's just funny.
I think I haven't really thought about it, which maybe this is like, it's very on the nose, but with Step Brothers and Elf, Will Ferrell might work best when he literally is just a child, basically, because as a grown man, that energy just kind of doesn't work as well. But like when he's literally basically a kid, like it's a little more endearing or something. I don't know. Maybe that's weird, but
yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think you're accurate in saying that. I don't have anything else really to say on Elf. I don't hate it. In fact, it was going to be on my Mount Rushmore. Yeah, I think especially for a Will Ferrell movie, if I have to pick a Will Ferrell movie to watch, it probably would be my second overall pick. Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and as I said earlier, like I kind of picked the first one. I wanted to get one of those with John C. Reilly because he's done a few with him now, and it's kind of a big stage of his career. And then Elf is probably, off the top of my head, maybe his most like family friendly like movie. Probably. You sit down with the whole family and watch it. I don't know. Yeah. So that was kind of my second one there. But do you want to take first stab at what? Or I guess you just haven't shown your second pick. So.
I haven't shown my second pick, and it's one that I have 2 on here that I know you're not gonna like. I'm gonna lead with the one I think you're not gonna like the most. It is Anchorman 2. I have long said that Anchorman 2, the first 30 minutes of Anchorman 2 is sincerely one of the funniest movies I've ever watched. I think it's hilarious. I love the ensemble of characters. Steve Carell, particularly in it, is by far my favorite. I think he's fantastic. From there, I can't think of probably a better example of the Will Ferrell formula than the Anchormans. Because they might start off funny. They got the ensemble of characters. They got quotes at times. By the end, I'm like, get this off. I don't want to. I couldn't tell you. I have it on my Mount Rushmore right here. I couldn't tell you how Anchorman 2 ends. I don't remember. But.
So, Anchorman 1, spoiler alert, would be on my Mount Buttmore. I do
That's
not like
fair.
it at all. I think it's one of the most overrated comedies ever.
I think it's fine.
Not a fan. I will admit that the second one is more enjoyable than the first. I agree with you that Steve Carell in these movies is really funny. I like pretty much all of his little things. It really gets me. And the thing with Anchorman 2 actually is the ending that I kind of like. It's when every comedy actor you can think of shows up in that big
Yes,
battle.
that's right. Yeah. Jim
It's
Carrey's there.
It's fun. Hey! Yeah, it's
You didn't come through, but I know what you did.
Oh.
I you did the, hey!
Yeah.
What
I
an
mean, leave it
entrance.
to the GOAT to show up and steal a scene like that. But that scene is kind of fun, if nothing else, just to see, like, everyone who shows up. It's like, what? Like, Kanye's there, I think? Like,
Yeah.
everyone you can think of is in that scene all of a sudden. It's just a big battle.
That's true.
And it's over the top and so stupid, but it's like, it's kind of memorable. And I kind of, every year or so, I feel like I will find that YouTube clip and watch that last, 15 minutes or whatever. It's kind of funny. So, definitely not... Neither Anchorman was on my list, but the second one, I'm happy if you're going to pick one that you pick that one. I think it is much more enjoyable overall. And there's pieces of it that I can fully understand and even, kind of like myself. So
yeah, I think,
no hate.
like we led with, like, can we say it's a Will Ferrell movie, but other people are involved? Like, I think the Anchormen.
Oh, it's a Will Ferrell movie.
They're Will Ferrell movies, but I promise you, it's on my Mount Rushmore mostly because of Steve Carell. I think
You're even giving him you're giving a backhanded compliment, even as you're picking his movie for your mouth.
I'm telling
It's
you,
not
dude.
him that earned it.
I do. When I like Will Ferrell, he's at least decent. But I'm sorry, he's not in my top 5 comedy actors for sure. He's not.
Yeah, same. He wouldn't be mine.
So I do think in a lot of regards, I think he's overrated. I'm not saying he's bad, and a lot of people like him when they shouldn't. I'm just saying I think he's a little overrated.
And that's because, like we said, like so many people, he's like their favorite. And like in these, maybe it's kind of winding down now, but for a big stretch there from like 2005 to 2015, that decade was like, he was kind of the guy for comedy, I feel like. So I feel like we've kind of slowed down with that. I can't really, I know he was in like Barbie and stuff as a smaller role last year, but I can't really think of too many big recent Will Ferrell movies.
True.
But yeah. So, I mean, I don't love that pick, but I don't hate it, and I can understand. I can fully understand where it was coming from. So we'll allow it.
Hopefully, I explained it well. But now I want to see what you got next because I have to imagine we're getting into some obscurity.
Oh, we're getting very obscure, buddy. There were a few picks that I went for here, and I have a list here. I'll name them off at the end of movies that are fine to me. I don't dislike them. They're fine. But I'm gonna go, like I said, with my picks, trying to get some different lanes. I'm going to go to a voice performance from him. And it's funny, you literally jokingly predicted it. I'm actually going to shout out my younger brother, Charlie, the Lego movie.
Hey!
Just as a voice performance for him.
He does great.
It's a movie. Yeah, it kind of works a lot better than you would think it would for something that, for all intents and purposes, is like a cash grab and like an attempt to sell some toys.
Yeah.
The movie's to its credit though, it actually has a stronger like story and originality, I guess, than something that feels, I feel like maybe the sequel, I haven't even seen sequels, or you've seen a lot of movies though about toys or different things that feel more like a cash grab than that first Lego movie did.
Right.
Seriously, go look at the cast. That cast is like stacked. You can scroll like 20 actors deep and you're finding like A-list actors still that show up for like a couple lines in the movie.
Right.
Every character that, every little Lego figure is played by someone that you know the name of, I promise. And I think it's a good blend of like characters that you have Batman and these superheroes and stuff, and then you have like original characters, the main character that Chris Pratt plays is original as well as a few other ones. And Will Ferrell is like, it's kind of one of those movies that blends live action with the animation at one point because you realize it's like he's like building the Lego universe or whatever in his basement. So you see him as the real man, but then he's like also like Lord Business or whatever his name
Lord
was
Business,
in the movie.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's fun. I think the voice performances all around are pretty good in that. Will Arnett, obviously Chris Pratt, Morgan Freeman, Will Ferrell. I think it's a fun ensemble of voice performances, and the movie works better than I think it has any right to. So again, it's not like my favorite animated movie by any stretch, but when I was looking at his filmography, I was like, like I'll grab an animated one for a voice performance, and that's just kind of the one that I don't know. I just kind of felt like grabbing because it's I think more fondly of it than I do negatively. So that's kind of the best thing I can say about it.
I think you spoke very well of it. I think it's one of those movies. I think I watched it once. I don't think I've watched it since. Not because I disliked it. I did like it. I just haven't. And
I don't own it on Blu-ray or anything.
Right,
so.
right. I'm like you. I don't think I've seen it. I know they have the Lego Batman movie off of it, and I know they had Lego movie. Did they have a straight Lego movie too? I think
they do. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But I think they did make one.
But yeah, I think the biggest thing you said that's my biggest takeaway from the first one was just the ensemble of characters and how funny they were together and all the performances. Like, of course, oh God, his name just now left my mind. Who he plays God in like every movie ever. Morgan Freeman. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was funny. Like just random stuff.
I
like it. I think it was.
And like I like how they had the stuff that like the crazy glue was like the big powerful craggle or whatever they called it down there. Like things from our world that would be like the size appropriate for Legos. It was kind of like clever some of the stuff how they mixed it in. Yeah.
It was. I think it's one of those things too where like you alluded to with like the story being bigger than maybe it's a kids movie, you can't have whatever. Dude, I don't know, this is a random sidebar. I don't know if you've seen like TikToks or any videos from the Transformers 1 that's out right now. Marketing team did a terrible job for that movie apparently because I've seen some clips. I'm like, this does not look like the movie advertised. It looks so much better.
Right. I can't even tell you. I don't know if I've even seen a trailer for it to be honest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm tapped into movies and trailers and stuff, so that's saying something. I haven't even.
The trailers, like whenever we watch I still wanted to see. I haven't seen it. I still want to see
I
it.
would like to see it too. Yeah, I want to see it.
My wife and I were at the theater seeing something else, and a trailer came for it, and I was like, I want to see that. And she was like, really? Like the trailer was so kiddie. The trailer. On 3, 1, and then they fall or whatever. I got knife hands.
Yeah.
Like just random crap. You're like, this is like a SpongeBob movie. But I've seen some of this stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, like they really did a better. The story's a lot deeper than what this trailer alludes to, or what you may think about. And I think that's how the Lego Movie is too. I think the story goes deep. I like it.
Yeah. Inoffensive. So yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your 3, buddy?
I'm gonna pick also an animated voice acting.
I know what it's gonna be. Yeah.
And
I almost picked it.
Huh?
I almost picked this one. I know what it's
Okay.
gonna be.
Give me Megamind, baby. I think we'll probably give some more love to Megamind. I will whenever we talk more about DreamWorks specifically. I think Megamind is another DreamWorks like standard. I don't think DreamWorks really produces a bad movie. I don't. I'm not saying Megamind touches Shrek or How to Train Your Dragon or that level, but I think Megamind is fine. I do think it's funny at points. I think the story's great. It's got a nice like switch up that you didn't see coming or whatever. I don't know. It's just a good movie. I think overall, I think it's pretty original. Like they took the classic like hero versus villain and kind of tipped it on its head. And I don't know. I really don't know what else to say about Megamind that's good. I also don't have a lot to say that's bad either. I think it's just like a fun watch. I like it.
Yeah. No. Like I said, it was kind of up in the air. I knew I was going to take one of either the Lego Movie or Megamind, and I had a hunch that you might take that because I know you're pretty high on it. So just kind of be different, I took the other one. And I don't know, Megamind to me is just, I might be a little lower on it overall, just in the scheme of looking at DreamWorks. It probably is on the lower end of DreamWorks for me, but that's just saying it. Looking at everything else to compare it against, right. You look at the Madagascar, Kung Fu Panda, Shrek, How to Train Your Dragon. It doesn't. Just because of the strength of the movies, it kind of slides toward the bottom. That's not saying it's bad. I think it's just Megamind to me. Like when I think of animated movies, is just like the average one, kind of maybe slightly above. It doesn't do anything that was my favorite, but it's also like I didn't dislike it at all. I haven't honestly revisited it a ton in recent years at all. It's like Brad Pitt, right? And
Brad Pitt.
Tina Fey, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a fun voice ensemble as well. And it does definitely have its moments that are pretty memorable and funny. So I think it's a perfectly valid pick, especially since we're both fading a lot of the like big Will Ferrell classics. So
Yeah, I think it's funny that I personally put Talladega Nights in my mouth, Buttmore, and I'm like, give me Megamind.
I mean, Anchorman might be his like most
It's up
notable
there.
role, and that's on my So whatever.
Yeah,
I love it.
If you haven't watched it in a while, I'd give it a rewatch at some point. But I
Yeah,
think
I'm probably due a
I think it's pretty quotable. I will say one great thing about the movie: the soundtrack is banging. The soundtrack is great. They got Welcome to the Jungle. They got some AC/DC. I can't remember who else is on there, but it's got a nice soundtrack.
Speaking of Megamind, just because we can't not mention it, remember how terrible that sequel looked?
Oh my gosh!
That trailer.
I almost want to watch it for how bad
I do too.
Like
I kind of do too, because the trailer, like I was like laughing out loud how bad the trailer was.
that would
This is a joke.
That'd be a negative. We talked about rating from -10 to 10. That'd be in the negative somewhere. I have to imagine. It looks like a PS2 game.
I don't even know I don't think Will Ferrell even returned for it. I could be wrong. So it just seems like all around, like, why did he make this? You don't have your original cast. The animators, it looked bad.
It's been so
like,
long at this point. Like, it's not like you came right off the heels of it being hot.
Right.
What are we doing?
It just felt very strange. Yeah. So weird. But if you haven't seen the trailer for Megamind 2, go look it up and do yourself a favor, because it's funny.
It looks terrible. I will say real quick, I just now remembered my favorite scene, and I say this anytime I'm playing anybody in anything, ping pong, Rocket League, whatever. I love the way he's got like the silhouette of his face in the sky with all the bots and the lightning in the background. Welcome to the Jungle's playing. You dare challenge Megamind! I love that quote. It's so stupid. I love throwing that out there.
Good. It's good. I love it. I honestly can't remember like specific quotes from it. It's been long enough that I've seen it, so I can't really return any quotes. But
it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Final pick for Mount Rushmore, buddy.
Final pick. So with this last one, this is again like no offense to Will Ferrell, but often the movies he's in that are my favorites, he has essentially no screen time. That's why I texted you earlier. Like, am I picking? I could have almost built this Mount Rushmore of movies that he's in less than 10 minutes. But I was like, that wouldn't be right. But it wouldn't be a Will Ferrell pick. But to represent all of them, I wanted to pick one to put on here. A couple others just to throw out. Zoolander, which I watched a couple weeks ago. I was a little lower on Zoolander than like I feel like the general public is. I feel like it's one that's like highly touted. And I thought it was fine. Thought it was good. Ben Stiller. Owen Wilson was by far my favorite part of it. I sent you that clip with Owen Wilson figuring out the files are in the computer. And the way his line delivery, they're in the computer? And he like reaches it, in the computer. It's so good. So good. So Owen Wilson stole that one from me. And I was thinking about that movie. And Will Ferrell has a decent sized role in it. He's like the villain. But I watched it like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I can't even remember that much about his performance in and of itself. So I kind of crossed that one out. And the other one that I do actually really like this comedy, and he has a bit role in it, would be Wedding Crashers. He's like the friend that they go to, and it's kind of funny. He's like living in his mom's basement and yelling at her and stuff. But the one that I'm picking, I think Will Ferrell might be in one scene of this movie, maybe two, and he dies. So it's kind of funny. But give me way back early Will Ferrell, 1997. So right in the middle of his SNL run. I believe he was on SNL from like 95 to 02 or something like that. But I'm taking Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. This is the first Austin Powers movie.
I can't wait to make the graphic and have an Austin Powers title on there.
People are like, what? He's in that? Yeah. Yes, he is Mustafa in this movie. And I'm pretty sure he's only in one scene. I only remember the one scene, but it's so funny. So essentially, I won't talk about the whole movie because I'm sure I'll talk about Austin Powers another time, because I am recently really won over by Mike Myers. who is Austin Powers and Dr. Evil there, obviously. His work, I think, has just really grown on me, whether it's Wayne's World or Austin Powers, obviously Shrek. He's done so many great roles.
Cat in the Hat.
So I'll talk more about the movie in general some other time, I'm sure. But the scene that Will Ferrell's in, admittedly, is very funny. I think it utilizes Will Ferrell very well. So he like says something offensive to Dr. Evil. He's like one of Dr. Evil's like minions, basically, at his like secret evil meeting. He says something that offends Dr. Evil, and Dr. Evil hits little butt, and in his chair, like, collapses into a trap door and sends him down to like a fire pit or something. And then the meeting starts to commence again, and as he's talking, you hear Will Ferrell just like scream, like moaning and stuff from this like vent in the floor, like like so hurt. He's like, like I'm so burnt or something, like yelling. So Dr. Evil sends this guy, another minion, down there to shoot him, to take him out for good. So he goes down there, and you hear Will Ferrell. His line delivery is just so good. He says something to the effect of like, "Oh, I'm so terribly burnt," and then you hear a gunshot. And the whole time the camera's just on Dr. Evil, so this is just all.
You're just hearing it.
So you hear the gunshot, and a couple seconds go by, and then you hear him like, "Why did you shoot me?" He's like, "You shot me in the arm." And the line delivery from Will Ferrell is so, like, that's one thing I will give Will Ferrell is he can do a really good line delivery when he's trying. And it's really good. That scene just really stands out, the way he's yelling it and they're like, "Oh, you shot me in the arm." It's so good. In a movie that has a lot of scenes that are really funny like that, it's definitely one of those pieces that are memorable. So yeah, it's definitely not a Will Ferrell movie in that sense of like him being the star or anything, but to kind of represent all those movies that I mentioned that he has a bit role in that I do actually like, I decided to pick one of them, and I thought his role in this one was the best of those. So
okay, I love it. I haven't seen. I've seen very little overall of Austin Powers. I honestly need to watch more because it does seem like my type of humor. I need to watch it. It looks hilarious. That scene you just described sounds hilarious. I promise I'm going to go look that up here in a minute.
It's so good.
Yeah, I do fully agree with what you said, that he can deliver a line. So, yeah, I think exactly like a counterpoint for why I am the way I feel about Will Ferrell is what a lot of people say about Jim Carrey. A lot of people say, "Oh, Jim Carrey, he's exhausting." Like, I just can't, like, after a while, I get tired of him. That's how I am with Will Ferrell. And I know it might make no sense that that's the way I am, but I am that way. That being said, the way I think a lot of people will admit that Jim Carrey at times is absolutely hilarious. I do think Will Ferrell at times is absolutely hilarious. But then the shtick...
His SNL stuff is gold.
Right.
Which, again, it's because, often it's like a 4-minute clip. And it might be... Maybe I just jive better with him when it's something like that, like a shorter little clip instead of like a full 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
So maybe that's saying something, that some of these movies where he's in less and he's in one or two scenes that are really strong, I end up liking better than watching it for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe there's some truth to that. Because his SNL stuff is pretty funny, honestly.
Yeah.
It's in that era of just good SNL stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Era that is well over now.
Long gone.
I will say, because I think you gave a little bit of love of one that didn't quite make your list, so I'll do the same. I had Elf on my short list. I also had specifically Daddy's Home 2. I don't know if you've seen any of the Daddy's Homes.
I've seen both of them, yeah.
I thought Daddy's Home 2, particularly them bringing like their dads into the picture, I thought that was great. Mark Wahlberg's Mark Wahlberg. I think he's at least decent in pretty much everything he does. He was funny, whatever. Particularly what I loved...
John Cena.
Do what?
John Cena's in it, yeah.
Yeah, there's like random, like...
It's funny.
Particularly what I loved, the one character in the movie, again, is like not Will Ferrell. I think it's Will's dad in the movie. He's like just a happy-go-lucky grandpa, like just happy to be around or whatever.
Yes,
He's just a nice guy. The biggest thing that I liked about him was he was a retired postman. My father is a postman. And there's that, it's Christmas, and he's watching out the window, and he goes, "Looks like your delivery man's struggling with a heavy parcel," and he like runs out the door in his robe. It's freezing outside. He's like, "Hello, Don Whitaker, retired U.S. Postal Service, but never too tired to help a fellow coworker." Like just he runs out there in the cold to help this random post office guy. I'm like, that's my dad. Yeah, I promise that'll be my dad.
I could see your dad doing it for sure. For sure.
It's like that. I really like that scene particularly. But there's a few things in Daddy's Home that's great. Them arguing over the thermostat, the temperature in the house, or whatever. That's funny. There's a few things about it. I think it's a decent film. I'm not gonna sit here and say you should go watch it right now, but whatever.
Yeah.
So that one almost made. But the one that I put is, I said Step Brothers is my favorite Will Ferrell, and it probably is. This is by far my second pick, is Eurovision, which I think I told you about. To my knowledge, you have not watched it. I think you would enjoy it, because what Eurovision is, first off, Eurovision is like a real contest. I don't know if you knew this or not. I honestly didn't until this thing. I think that's like, I may be entirely wrong here. I think that's almost where like ABBA was like found, because I think it's like held like in Switzerland or somewhere over there, and it's like a big contest every year. And as far as I know, it's kind of like those like random basketball tournaments where like me and you, if we think we are good enough, we can enter this contest. You don't have to be Fergie to enter this thing. And eventually, but it's people from different countries, and eventually like one country wins Eurovision. The movie Eurovision, I think it's called Eurovision Song Contest to be exact, is the story of Will Ferrell and his friend trying to make it, and they honestly are like overall pretty terrible. She's a great singer. It's the most I've ever heard Will Ferrell sing, and he honestly does. He does about what you would expect for Will Ferrell to sing. It's not bad, but it's got a cast of characters in it. It's got like Demi Lovato.
He's a songbird of his generation.
Yeah. It's got Demi Lovato.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I forgot about that for a second. I had to connect. I've been called the songbird of my generation. John C. Reilly starts like crying when he's hearing it.
That's right.
Eurovision is a lot of our sense of humor, I think, where like just random crap happens. It's really stupid. Like at one point, again, Eurovision, it's like you kind of have to be good. Demi Lovato is in the movie at one point, and she's one of the like competing singers. She's obviously very good or whatever. At one point, like all the popular people, all the good people are like on a yacht. The yacht just blows up. Like it just explodes for almost no reason. So now all of a sudden, like they get their shot. Like it's kind of like, that's how stupid it is. Whoever sings, because my wife and I looked it up because it became one of our favorite soundtracks. My wife was still frequently like bump this soundtrack in the car. It's a musical. It's got a lot of good songs in it. I can't remember this actress's name, but it's not her that's doing the singing. We looked it up. But whoever the female singer in that movie honestly has.
Is it Rachel McAdams? Is Rachel McAdams the actress?
Yes, Rachel McAdams.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, I can't remember like who does the actual singing for her, because we looked it up and it's not her. Whoever does has a beautiful voice. She is genuinely fantastic. Eurovision, it's so stupid. It's still got its Will Ferrell moments of like, oh my god, this is so stupid. But with the musical elements, it kind of ropes me back in every so often with the songs or whatever. So I'm not totally like bummed out by the Will Ferrell shtick by the end of it. I think it's good. I would recommend you watch it at some point. I think you would at least like semi enjoy it.
No, I'm definitely gonna add it to my watch. Okay. I'm gonna add that to my watch list for sure, because I do remember you telling me when you and your wife first watched that years ago, and I kind of had forgotten about it, and then I didn't realize what it was. But today, when I was like just glancing at his filmography on Letterboxd and seeing all the posters, I saw that one, and I didn't even connect that it was the same one that you had told me about years ago. But when I clicked on the poster, someone that I follow that I don't know who it is on Letterboxd, I saw they had that rated like a 4.5 out of 5, and I was like, oh wow, like someone likes this movie.
I wouldn't give it that high. I'd probably go 3.5,
right,
maybe 4.
Right, but honestly, I love a good musical that has a good soundtrack like that you know you can play in the car for a couple weeks after you watch it. Yeah. I love that. My wife loves that too, so that's something that we could probably have some fun with, and I'll definitely have to check that out because it sounds like something pretty good. And I like Rachel McAdams pretty well and stuff I've seen her in.
Yeah, she does good.
And so yeah, I think that sounds pretty good. So I don't have any hate toward that, and I'm actually kind of excited to watch that. So
it is really
something
good.
I can't say about most Will Ferrell movies.
I'll have to resend you this Volcano Man. That's the opening scene. From the opening scene, I'm like, you got me. This is gonna be stupid, and I'm here for it.
Love it.
It's really good. You just said something else that I was gonna say about it. You were looking up his discography.
He really can sing.
Something you just said, I was gonna say something else about the movie, but now I can't remember. It'll come back to me. Oh, yeah. I think what all I was gonna say was, I think this is like, if I had to pick a movie that me and my wife both really enjoy, that probably most were definitely higher on it than most. Most people probably haven't even seen it or heard of it. It's definitely this movie. This is like our like cult movie. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like a straight to streaming.
I think it was. I think it was straight to Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I kind of want to watch that now, so I'll add that to my list as soon as we're off of here, and I'll try to get that watched soon.
Okay.
touch base with you.
Well, I think so. Right now, are we making a conjoined Buttmore, even if we don't necessarily agree with the picks? Like, if I say Talladega Nights is on there, you're like, well, not for me, but like, do you want to work together towards one Buttmore?
Sure, we can build one.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, we've each got one. Do you have another one you want to put on the Buttmore?
Let me think. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. The Daddy's Home movies, I think, are fine. I don't love or hate them necessarily. Kind of held the same way. The Other Guys is one that I considered even putting it on my Mount Rushmore, but I don't like it that much. I think it's another one at the beginning I think is really funny. I like the stuff with Samuel Jackson and The Rock at the beginning of that one, but then the rest of the movie, by the end of it, it trails off. So I wouldn't put that on there. So I don't know. Honestly, maybe something like just really stupid, like something like Blades of Glory just doesn't connect with me at all. I don't know. It's just one of those things where stupid humor can work for me, but that one just doesn't from the jump. So maybe I'll slide that one on there.
Okay, so there's a few that I haven't seen that I think a lot of people like. Semi-Pro, I haven't seen Semi-Pro. I think a lot of people consider that like a classic Will Ferrell. I haven't seen it. Blades of Glory is also one. So I'm trying to see here if I even have one that I've watched that I was like, oh god, like put that on there. I've heard nothing but terrible things about Holmes and Watson.
Oh yeah, I refused to watch that when it came out.
Yeah.
So that could probably be on there.
Yeah.
It looked terrible. The trailer looked bad.
Right. I'm surprised you haven't seen this. Have you seen Spirited with him and Ryan Reynolds?
I have not. I think that was like one of those Apple movies or something.
Yeah. We watched it. It was decent. I think it was a Christmas movie. A lot of singing in that one as well.
Okay.
It was like, good spirited Will Ferrell versus like the con artist Ryan Reynolds. It was very fitting.
Mm-hmm. I think that came out in like a streaming service that like we didn't have at the time or something. I just never read around to it.
From what I remember, I would say it was decent. I don't remember a whole lot of it, but so yeah, if you want, let's just throw Holmes and Watson on there, even though we've never seen it.
Okay, sure, we've never seen it.
I mean, what does it have?
I promise usually we'll have better takes than that, but
let me see.
Something we've never seen.
Can I see Letterboxd? It's not like, because I don't think I'm logged in on my computer. Yeah, let's see what Holmes and Watson has.
It's got to be like a 2.0 or something. Tops.
1.6. Ooh.
Bad. Yeah, that's gross.
That's an average of a
how do you get
3 out of 10.
Like, I feel like getting those two guys and putting a camera on them should get you higher than that.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a failure all the way around.
That's an average of a 3 out of 10, bro.
Ugh. Yeah, no thanks. I'm going to pass.
And there's tons of ratings.
There's too many good movies. Honestly, one of the things I always say as someone who loves movies is there are too many good movies to waste my time watching bad ones. And that's how I feel about that one. I'm not going to scope that out and watch it.
Yeah. Because there are movies, though, and this is from me, I guess, like you mentioned earlier about Megamind 2, how terrible it looks. I'm like, okay, it looks so bad, I'll watch.
Oh, if there is an entertainment factor that will kick in at a certain point, absolutely. Yeah. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
But if it's something that I'm just like watching to check off a list, like, oh, now I can say I've seen this one too, like I'm not like that movie doesn't even look entertaining. So
right. No, I think us watching Megamind 2 would be a lot like whenever y'all visited and we watched, what was that we were watching? Love Island?
It wasn't Love Island, but it was essentially the same.
It was one of those stupid shows.
Temptation
Island we were watching, dude. Yeah. And like we might as well have paused it every like 5 seconds because somebody in the room was saying some smart aleck comment about like whatever was happening.
It was great.
It was so much fun. That reminded me.
We came home from that trip and my wife and I binged the rest of that season.
Really?
A day and a half, yeah. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That reminded me of the good old days of us watching March Madness basketball with our friend the Doc.
Yes.
And this little tree beard, like this guy signing like random players.
Our constant commentary watching anything, honestly, was so much fun.
It's so stupid. My favorite things we do. Speaking of that, tentatively, next week's episode, we're going to do something unheard of. Ooh, what are we doing? It's not even our idea, so if you want to say it, you go ahead.
We are being forced to have a guest on. Yeah, so we are acquaintance, I guess you could say, for both of us.
Yeah, he's all right.
The Doc.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both know him. We'll be on.
Can't remember his last name, but.
So yes, our friend, the Doc, aka Willis, will be joining us. What?
It was just funny how you like outed him. I thought we were gonna keep like the Doc like persona.
I guess we could have. We can cut that.
No, it's gonna stay in it for sure.
Will be joining us for what we hope to kind of establish as an ongoing series of the podcast of what was he calling it exactly? Do you remember the name?
The TisItIs Debate Spectacular or Debate Special, I think he said, which would be
yes.
Tiddies.
That's right. So, as I understand it, he is kind of doing everything on his own. Mm-hmm. We have no idea what kind of questions he's preparing, but he is preparing some debate questions for Snoof and I for next week. And then we're just going to kind of hear them for the first time as he reads them off, and then kind of get launched into a debate. So, you know, it can kind of be like pulling teeth sometimes to get us maybe to disagree on some things, but he, you know, has some experience in that, so maybe he will get us butting heads a little bit. So I'm looking forward to it.
I was telling my wife about it, and I was like, I love this because knowing the Doc, I said, I promise you, he could come forth and just like make like a blanket statement, like red is better than blue. So stupid, but we'd be like, no, like we would start arguing over it. It's like, this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really excited for whatever
I'm pumped.
He has come up with, and yeah, we will. The world will be introduced to our friend, the Doctor, President, Professor, and what's his title? What's your title whenever you marry people? He's not like the officiant. Yes, an officiant. He is all that and more, baby. And we are...
And much more, yes.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have him on and to hopefully have him as a recurring guest and that a recurring...
Yes, we want to establish it to be like, I don't know, quarterly or something. We definitely want to have him on fairly regularly to...
Yeah.
I don't know why I stopped talking.
I don't know either. I was like, did he stutter? Like, I didn't hear him.
I just completely stopped. I don't know what
we look forward to having him... Like, yeah, and?
Finish my sentence, man. Am I a podcast partner or not?
I hit him with it last night. He called me. My favorite thing to do, dude. My new favorite thing to do. I've got so many favorite things to do. It's my new favorite thing to do is whenever somebody I sincerely love calls me and I answer the phone with, what? Or some variation of that. Like, what do you want? Like, just answer the phone like you are so frustrated with them calling.
Yeah.
It's because, I mean, he called me yesterday. I can't think of maybe 5 phone call conversations we've had together in our whole lives. So I'm like, why is he calling me? Like, something dire could have been happening. I don't know, but he goes, what?
What, did you catch him off guard?
He did laugh. He was like, I expected nothing else. Like, he was,
Okay, yeah.
He was a good sport about it. But
yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to have him on.
Yeah, I'm pumped. It should be a fun episode, so I'm looking forward to it.
That being said, buddy, I'll make a nice little graphic of our individual Mount Rushmores. I think it's going to be hilarious to see an Austin Powers title on there.
Like what? Yeah.
And I'll make a little Buttmore. What a freaking tag. A Buttmore, dude. Because now we can do that for all of our Rushmores. We can do a Buttmore. I love it.
We could do a Buttmore for everything. Yeah. Love it.
It's so stupid. We could do a Buttmore. Okay. Well, I don't got anything else. If you at home have anything, come yell at us because we hated on your favorite Will Ferrell movie because probably at some point tonight we did. At TisItIsPod on the old Twitter, as we're still calling it. TisItIs a podcast. Buddy.
TisItIs.
What else do you got? Anything?
Will Ferrell, if you're watching, we are a little sorry, but not fully sorry. We said what we said, and we stand by it. And, yeah, that's all I've got.
You seem like a nice guy, Will. I got no hate against you personally, but...
Nope.
Peace.
None at all. All right, well, see you later.